SAPProjectTraining.com. Hello, my name is Peter Hansen and I'm one of the two co-founders of SAPProjectTraining.com. Today I will be your head coach in a training session covering three very interesting topics. The first topic we will look at is the challenges for the project manager of the future. Then we will have a look at how and when to accelerate your SAP project. And finally, we will have a look at SAP HANA. What is it all about? Let's look at the first topic, challenges for the project manager of the future. So let's start out by looking at the classical project management world. So in a classical project management methodology, the project manager, to be successful, has to be in control of the triple constraints of project management. And the triple constraints of project management we all know are budget, time, and scope. These three interlinked constraints you as a project manager needs to ensure are under control at all given times during your project. If one constraint changes, it will impact the other two and thereby impact the outcome of your project. You can also say that in a classical world, you need to go to school as a project manager and you need to do your homework. And by this we mean you need to go to school to learn the methodology and you need to do your homework, applying that knowledge, executing the methodology. If you do that and manage the three interlinked constraints successfully, you will be a successful project manager. Your career in a traditional world will go from managing simple projects to managing more complex projects, and then you might end up as a program manager managing interlinked programs. So that is the career path and the knowledge that you as a project manager in the classical sense has to execute. Now, the project manager of the future will have additional requirements that he needs to fulfill, because in the future a new dimension adds complexity and requirements to the role of the project manager. You can say that whereas in the classical project management world you have a triple constraint project methodology, you will in the future as a project manager, you will need to also manage value as a fourth constraint. And you can see here that these four constraints are now interlinked, adding additional complexity to the project management methodology. So why do we need as a project manager to suddenly start to manage value? Well, we need to do that because change is necessary. And the change is necessary because the world around us is changing. And to continue to be a successful project manager in this changing world, we need to lead the change. And some of the changes that's happening is that the project management skills is becoming much more common. There is a growing number of certified project and program managers out there. And if we look at PMI alone, the Project Management Institute had in December 2010 more than 400,000 active project management professionals. That is their project management certification. In addition, there's other certifications out there like IPMA and Prince 2. So the project management skills is no longer unique. It's a much common skill and there's much more competition. That combined with that the projects and programs that is being started is becoming increasingly more complex and they are being started in a very competitive and fast changing marketplace. The world is getting smaller and projects will be started, most of them as global projects having team members from all over the world, and it's no problem anymore bidding for projects on the other side of the world. So it's a small world combined with much more complex projects and programs, and it's in a very competitive market space. And then lastly, there's a shift in the customer behavior, because there's a shift in customer satisfaction and what customers believe is a successful project. So whereas in the old world we had a strong focus on managing the triple constraints and delivering an outcome. Now the customers expect that the project will realize and deliver the value that they expect. And this is mainly triggered by the financial crisis, where the customers are demanding much more from every dollar spent. If they start a project, there will be a clear value proposition, a clear business case, what the project have to achieve. And today, it is not good enough to achieve that. You need to excel and achieve more than what's expected. So you, as a project manager, has a huge challenge ahead. You have a lot more competition in terms of the skills. You need to be ahead of the skills, and you have much more complex project and programs that you need to manage. And the customer has a complete shift in customer behavior. You can say, to be successful in this marketplace today and even more in the future, as project managers, we must anticipate what is changing. We must stay ahead in what we do, and we must stand out in what we do. If you can do that, you will be a successful project manager now and in the future. So let's look at the second topic, which is how and when to accelerate your SAP project. So before we look at what we can do in terms of accelerating our project, let's just have a look at a typical SAP project and the project phases of a typical SAP project. So the main methodology for implementing SAP is that we have a number of project phases, starting with project preparation, going into business blueprint, realization, build and test, final preparation, and go live and support. Under each phase, we have a number of key activities. In project preparation, we'll be initiating our project, planning our project, kicking it off. As we move into business blueprint, we will start collecting as-is information. If that is an in-scope deliverable, we will do business requirement gathering, we will do our to-be design, and we will confirm our design. That will allow us to have a confirmed design moving into the realization, build, and test phase. Here we will be configuring and developing our solution. Basically, we are building the solution. For the development part, we can use different methodologies for the technical development. It can be a waterfall method, it can be an agile method. It doesn't really matter, but it's the building part of the solution. Once we have finished building, we will do our unit test. We will prepare our training of the new to be designed process, and we will start integration testing of the process. That will lead us into the final preparation, where our main activities will be to do the user testing, user training, do our final data conversion testing, as well as the final data conversion run, and then we will have a go live decision. If we have a decision to go live, we will go into go live and support, where we'll execute our cutover activities, and we'll go into support state. So that is the main activities and the phases of a typical SAP project. So each phase has its own risks. So if we try and look at what are the risks that we see in each stage of a project phase. So the risk to the project schedule, as you can see here, is starting off very low, then it climbs up to the peak in the middle of the realization, and then it's dropping. And this has its reasons why it is like this. So in the beginning, we will have few risks as we are just starting up the project. When we start into business blueprint, yes, the risk starts to climb as we go through the design activities. And the key thing here is that we get the business blueprint design completed on time. We get it confirmed here. So we have a confirmed baseline design to go into realization build. As we get through realization build and we start our integration testing and we get through the integration testing, the risk picture starts to drop. After integration test, there should be no major risks. There's still a lot of work to be done, and there are still unknowns that is posing some risks, but it's a downward slope from realization build to go live. Final preparation, again, there is unknown risks in terms of especially data conversion, unit testing, but it is less. And as we go into go live and support, now we already decided to go live and the risk picture drops. So with these project phases, these activities, and this risk picture. Let's look at what can we do to accelerate our project and bring down that risk. So what can be accelerated? Let's first talk about acceleration. So there's a lot of large system integrators of SAP projects who was talking about advanced business blueprint, accelerated business blueprint, levering assets, drivers, all kinds of sales talk. But is there anything that can truly be accelerated, and what is it? Well, in our view, if we look at the classical SAP project, we have a number of items that can be accelerated, and it all starts with the to-be design. If I can do my to-be design smarter, and smarter I mean do it faster, with less workshops, less customization, that will have a ripple effect. That will mean that I can do my configuration perhaps faster. I will for sure have less development if I have a less customized solution. The faster I can do my configuration, the more standard my configuration is, the less development I have, the less unit test effort I will need, or the less unknown in the unit testing. The less unknown in the unit testing, the more standard the test scripts are, the faster I can produce my training. Again, most unknown items in the training. There should be nothing new, no surprises, no items that requires extensively training effort. If I can achieve that, that will also mean that my user test will be more simple, more fast. My user training will be more standardized, and that will then leave me out here where I'll now have all the green boxes here will be able to complete that in a much more standardized way, and it will allow me to move into the final preparation activities for data conversion and go live decision much faster. So this is the path for accelerating your project. And if you try to summarize this, you can say that an accelerated design approach plus reduced customization and development effort will reduce testing and training effort, which again will reduce schedule to benefit realization. To achieve that, there are certain things you need to be aware of. And that certain things are that you need to understand when to accelerate and what is required. So if we first have a look at the different types of projects, we have listed some of the most common ones. So first, global transformation, where you're implementing SAP, using SAP as the driver to transform your business. The applicability of acceleration is very high. There's a lot of areas where you can really benefit from accelerating. Harmonization consolidation, again, has certain room for acceleration. HANA implementation, which is really just changing or introducing new technology. Again, you have certain items that you can use to accelerate it. But really, the main benefit is up here. It is global transformation where you have a lot of complexity and you're using SAP as an implementation driver to transform your business processes. This is really where you benefit the most. If you're going into a acquisition divestiture, you do not want any unknowns, and it's a completely different design project as well as upgrade re-implementation. So this is where it's applicable to look at accelerators. Now, to successfully accelerate of your project, you require 100% executive support and you need a clear benefit case. Without this, you will not be successful in accelerating your project. If you have this, you have all the opportunities in the world to accelerate your project. Now, to do this, you need to focus on the big ideas. You do not accelerate your project by looking at details of chart of accounts or KDS structure. You look at the big ideas, and based on that and the strategic direction of your company, you decide how and when to accelerate. And to be able to do this, you need the executives behind you. If you do not have executive support, this will not be possible to do because it has to be understood by everyone what it is, the strategic direction is, the idea with the SAP solution, and it's backed by the executives. We are going to do this. There is no other way. This is what we want to do. All of you here as the project team, you need to execute this. And to help you guide through this, you need to be benefit focused. So the executives and you needs to based on the big ideas, the strategic decision, the executive support, you need to have a clear benefit case formulated and communicated, and that will be your guiding principle. And for you as a project manager to steer your project through this, you need to be focused on manage value. And the value you're going to manage is the benefit case that has been put forward. It is the strategic direction, and you are managing the expectations by the executive team. So this comes back to our first topic, that you need to be a value-driven project manager. And if you are that, you have the strong executive support, you will have a lot of opportunities to be able to accelerate your project, drive down the risk of your project, and be more likely to have a successful outcome. Now, we'll go in much more detail about the value-driven projects as well as accelerators and how you can design and execute them in some of our detailed training classes. So let's look at the third topic, SAP HANA. What is it all about? So SAP HANA is the name for SAP's suite of in-memory technology offerings. So the icon that they use for this new line of memory technology is, as you see here to the right. And it was born in 2010, where the first release of HANA happened after their acquisition of the HANA technology. Since then, the HANA suite has evolved, and you have gone through a number of service releases, which the first one was released in 2011 June, which was the general availability of the HANA product. And right now in 2013 January, we are on release 7.0 or SP7. So this is a very in focus area in SAP, and you will see that this will be very rapidly developed. There is a very aggressive roadmap for HANA available. So what is it? Well, let's try and put a HANA 5-point simple summary. So to a technologist, HANA is just a really fast database with a few other components thrown in. That's our first point. The second point is that HANA is an OLAP reporting database with a roadmap to add transaction processing applications. The third, business value is created by the solution running inside HANA, not by HANA itself. It's, as said first in 1 and 2, it's just a very fast database. So HANA can accelerate analytics. You could say it's a sidecar to any business application, and it's not limited to SAP. SAP has a developer suite that is offered to partners who can develop application for their HANA technology. So it's not an SAP only product. You can use this very fast database technology for non-SAP. However, the usage of HANA is mostly driven by SAP, and it's started off by some kind of need by an SAP function. So if you're not using one of the HANA specific solutions, as the fifth point here, or SAP Business Warehouse powered by HANA, then using HANA is 100% custom development. So there is a roadmap to build more and more transaction technology or more and more SAP functionality that is HANA enabled. So if HANA is just a very fast database technology, and if you're using SAP components on top of that, what is then the difference implementing HANA? Well, implementing HANA is no different from implementing non-HANA enabled SAP solutions. It is the same project phases that you have to go through. You can still use the same ASAP roadmap for managing your project. And those who don't know ASAP, this is SAP's own implementation methodology and tool that is available to you from the SAP marketplace. But, and there is a but, and the but is that you need to make sure that you have the right focus when implementing HANA. So HANA is not a cheap solution, and therefore any HANA project requires a strong business case, because this is very costly. We are talking about a memory database technology, which, as the word says, you need a lot of memory. And memory, yes, it is cheaper than it was 10 years ago, but it's still very costly technology. So you need to have a business case. You need to have in that business case business processes that can justify a HANA implementation. So businesses that are real-time data processing makes a real difference if you run those business processes on HANA or on a traditional database. So the key here is if your business consists of business processes that you need real time, then you have a good business case, a good foundation to building a strong business case. The other one is that quick implementation is often the key. So you have a need for real-time processing. It's running today, but you can see that if you can put this in more near real time, then you will have a quick win or a very strong business case. That means that you will probably also have people saying, I need to implement this quick. I want to realize the value quickly. So if you're implementing HANA, that's where you need the accelerated approach. You really need to look at how can I get to the benefit realization as quickly as possible to realize my business case. And to do that, as we've been through in the last two topics, you need to have a strong focus on managing value. Now, one last point I want to make here is that HANA is not just for large companies. Today, there is a lot of industry-specific processes that is already built and available for HANA, where they have identified a need for real-time processing, where real-time processing can make a real difference to how your business operates and the benefit to your business. And some of these items is applicable for small and medium-sized companies. It is not just for large enterprises. But no matter what your enterprise is, you need to have the strong business case and you need to have the focus of the value generation. So you need a project manager that is ready, value-driven, ready to manage projects of the future, ready to manage projects where the value is the key dimension. You need a strong business case, executive support. You need to sit down and design a project that has an accelerated element in it so that you can get to a quick win, a quick implementation schedule, and thereby realizing the value quickly. That concludes our topics in this video lesson. So I just have a few questions for you. Are you ready to become a world-class SAP project manager? Do you want to know more about how to accelerate your SAP project? And do you want to know more about HANA and how to get started implementing HANA? Well, if you can answer yes to any or all of these questions, then you might want to visit sapprojecttraining.com today, where we will offer you extensive SAP project management training. We will offer you career mentoring. We will have an expert forum. We will support you as you go through your project with whatever question you might have. And we will have some ready-to-use project assets that you can download and immediately apply on your project, getting a head start and being a successful project manager. Hope to see you at sapprojecttraining.com.